Hello, this is Alex, and I've decided to try something new with the recent Nintendo Direct that came out about a few days ago. It's where I'll just share my thoughts, unscripted, and I'm not posting a reaction to anything. This is just summarising what I thought of the Nintendo Direct that aired on the 4th of September 2019. To sum it up, it was pretty good. It was decent overall. Like, it had mostly some satisfying showings for me personally. I can sort of get why some weren't so satisfied, because it has like a bunch of niche kind of reveals that don't tend to appeal to, like, say, Mario or Zelda or Pokemon and so on. But I thought they had enough content to show, and it'll last us for a good while, and will lead into the new year 2020 quite well. Now, first I'll go over the games that I don't have a lot to say about, and then afterwards I'll just go over the games in the order they were shown, and the ones I have more to say about. First off, we got Super Kirby Clash, which was apparently a free to start game, and it's supposed to be like a sequel to, it's like a follow-up to one of the 3DS eShop games. I forgot what it's called. Haven't tried it, but it looks cool, just like your standard Kirby game, kind of like what we've got in several Kirby games recently. Dragon Quest XI. I've never played a Dragon Quest game, and I'm not planning to pick it up right away because there's too many games to play right now, and I'd rather spend more time on those, because Dragon Quest XI looks very long and very packed with content. But I will try the demo at some point, especially because it's a long demo and I can transfer my progress to the full game. Doom 64, this was quite significant apparently. I don't know too much about Doom 64, nor a lot of Doom games for that matter, but it's cool that it's coming to the Switch, just like Doom 1 to 3 did not too long ago. Deadly Premonition 2. I've barely heard of the Deadly Premonition games, so this announcement I was more indifferent towards, but with how enthusiastic many seem to be about it, I can see this as being a big deal. I might try it out at some point later. And Mario and Sonic, the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games. Yes, they're doing them for the Switch after they missed out on the Winter Olympics. The retro stuff looks cool, and yeah, it just hope it's fun for a minigame compilation. Luigi's Mansion 3. The new multiplayer looks really fun, and as does the game itself. It looks absolutely brilliant. I am so hyped for this one, and I am not looking at many other trailers because I want to see what goes on throughout the game for myself. It seems massive. I can't wait for it. Right, so those are the games that I don't really have a ton to say about. If I do miss any games, then I do apologise. I probably forgot about it, or I just have nothing to say about it whatsoever. So yeah, let's move on to the meat of the presentation. Overwatch on Switch. This wasn't a huge surprise because that Switch case got leaked about a few weeks ago. But regardless, it's great that it's on Switch, and it's a big deal for the third parties because we finally have a big multiplayer game of this generation to play, especially for those who've never played it and don't have, like, say, PS4s, Xbox Ones, or even PCs, which most of the player base seems to be on. I don't think I'll get it immediately because you can't transfer your progress over from the other versions, from what I've heard. It's quite a big deal because I've spent like over 100 hours on the PS4 version, and if there's no way to transfer it, well, it's like, am I motivated to do it all over again for the Switch? As well as the fact that it's apparently 30 frames per second when docked, which FPS isn't a deal breaker for some games, but with a fast-paced game like Overwatch that emphasises on split-second decision-making, it's kind of disappointing to hear, but still, it's cool that it's on the Switch though, and maybe at some point I will, but for those who haven't got it, they're in for a nice treat. Oh boy, this one drove me nuts, in a good way, and that was that Tokyo Mirage Sessions is finally coming out for the Switch. Yes, one of the Wii U ports I wanted the most is finally going to be released, and I could not be more happy that more people can get to experience this brilliant game. that was on the Wii U. It was such a gem on the console. Like, it was my favourite RPG on the Wii U, which I know isn't saying a lot because there was barely that many RPGs on the Wii U. You know, this game that's filled with such good characters, a cool battle system, and just like a unique, colourable vibrancy to it all with the Tokyo setting. And Encore is a perfect name for it re-releasing. And it comes with some additional content and I think like a song that wasn't in the original, so it's even more incentive to buy it. And plus it's another excuse for me to play through this awesome RPG all over again. So yeah. Pokemon Sword and Shield. I do think the Pokemon Camp thing is a really good idea, because it kind of reminds me of Pokemon Ranch on the Wii, yeah, remember that game? You know, that one where it was like Pokemon Box, but your Mii was exploring around the ranch to mingle with Pokemon? Well, it's a kind of a similar idea here, only more elaborated on it, and yeah, and plus the fact that you can mix curry with other foods. It is also neat to see. There's like a Pokedex for the food, so that's already really neat. Yeah, and then there's the new tea Pokemon, Polteageist. Get it? Because they're British and they drink tea in Britain. and Cramorant, especially with the Gut Missile ability, where if you use Surf or Dive, you get this fish or whatever is in the beak, and then it spits it out when it gets attacked. It's a nice little ability. It's like how I think the Neutralize ability in Ingala Wheezing is also an interesting way to spice up the battles, because it disables abilities. So I cannot wait to see how all these play out. And with all the information we've been gaining recently with Sword and Shield, like, even though I'm not too big on how the game looks, because of how I don't think it's tapping into its full potential as much as it should for a full console Pokemon game. So I'm still looking forward to it, and I'm still planning to pick it up and play through it like I do with every generation of Pokemon. And no, it's not a deal breaker that the National Dex is not in the game, because I mostly mix new Pokemon with old Pokemon, and it's just whatever the main campaign is like, which is what matters to me in a Pokemon game. It's like I don't really tend to do battles of Pokemon, it's just mostly the single player stuff. I really hope this one delivers as the start of the 8th generation of Pokemon, and as the first Pokemon game on a home console, technically speaking. Right, so, next up we have Super Nintendo games for Switch Online. It was about time this was added, like, as if the dislikes on YouTube weren't enough on the monthly NES games. Now we're finally getting Super Nintendo games, which is great, because unlike the NES games, which I only cared about like a handful of them, the Super Nintendo library, I absolutely love most of the Super Nintendo library, especially with what was shown, and with some additions that were not even included in like Virtual Console or the Super Nintendo Classic, like Stunt Race FX. And that was a nice surprise to see. And then we have Super Mario Kart, which is a great launch game for the SNES games for Switch Online, because of the 2-player, and because you can play 2 players online. Oh yeah, the 2-player online thing for the NES or Switch Online app is finally getting some use now that SNES games have more substance as multiplayer than NES games do. It's like with Super Mario Bros, you just swap the controller around, which wasn't much 2-player. It's like Dr. Mario was like one of the few games that made use of the 2-player from the top of my head, whereas with the SNES games you have Super Mario Kart is a good showcase for how that could work when it comes to playing retro games in 2-player online. Yeah, the other games on the Switch Online, like Super Puyo Puyo 2, and that's really cool because it never got released outside of Japan, except for, I think, the Wii Virtual Console. I think it was that version. Pilot Wings, you got your standard ones like Super Mario World, Super Metroid, F-Zero, and so on. But then you have Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Star Fox. Again, other games that weren't on the Virtual Console or the SNES Classic, like Super Tennis and Brawl Brothers. It's a good selection, and I hope that they add more over time, because lately they've stated that they are not adding the games every month now. So with them coming at any time, I hope it doesn't take like 3 months to get 3 SNES games. And even though I'm glad about the SNES games being added to Switch Online, it's like, are we gonna, if it's a year after the NES, does that mean we're gonna have to wait a year for N64? and 2 years for GameCube games on the Switch Online, and even when they come, is the price going to get raised? Is this SNES one like the one thing they're going to stay the same price on, and then with GameCube games being more packed in content, are they going to, you know, raise the price on it? I mean, we don't know, but we've got these SNES games to enjoy in the meantime, as well as a massive library of Switch games on the eShop to enjoy. So, yeah, it was really cool. And the SNES controller. Yeah, I'm definitely planning to get this one at some point. And it's really nice that they're doing one controller at a time instead of two, which is why it's £27 on the UK Nintendo store. And that's nice to see, because with the NES Joy-Cons, you had two, but you had to pay about £50 for them, which might seem too dear for some, which is understandable. With this one, you can buy one at a time, which is nice. It'll just save you trouble in your wallet. And you can buy up to 4 per Nintendo account holder, so it's not like you only get one for this entire deal. It's kind of weird that with the NES Classic you only got one NES controller, and then with the SNES Classic you got 2 SNES controllers, and then with Switch Online you got 2 NES Joy-Cons and 1 SNES controller. It's just like a polar opposite of quantity. Alright, so what's next? Daemon X Machina. This game is seriously giving me Xenoblade X vibes. As if riding on a mech wasn't enough, you also get to dismantle from the mech, take battle. The settings kind of look like that desolate wasteland setting some places of Xenoblade X had. And the fact that you can acquire weapons to use it in the future missions, so it's not just temporary, it stays with you. It all sounds very good, and as well as the standard skill tree where you level up your abilities, and the online multiplayer with your mechs. Yeah, this is looking to be another really good action-packed game for the Switch. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Probably my most hyped game of 2020 so far. To be honest, I didn't watch the Treehouse presentation because I was in Japan at the time and I just never got around to watching it. But I think this was... so this is like the most amount of new content I've seen from it so far. We get material crafting, which means that any sticks you find and any wood you find, you can craft it into tools, you can craft it into other objects. And weeds are no longer useless because they not only contribute to selling for bells, but also you could even craft stuff from the weeds. So it's like more additions to the formula that it's like the more you hear about it, the more of a near-perfect Animal Crossing this sounds, because they're tweaking out all the things that kind of annoyed you in the older games, and in the newer ones they're just refining them as much as they can. And as well as the fact that you can finally cross rivers with the pole stick, so yeah, you're no longer having to walk all the way around to a bridge just to get to the other side. No, you can actually cross the river just like that. And I don't know too much else about what's new, like maybe this is most of what we've got, and maybe there's more new things I haven't mentioned. I am probably going to put hundreds and hundreds of hours into this game. Fun fact about me, Animal Crossing is usually my most played games on every Nintendo console that I've been on. Like, okay, I didn't play the GameCube one, but the DS one, Wild World, I got into that an awful lot when I knew how to play it. Animal Crossing Let's Go to the City, I put in about over 1,000 hours on it, and I knew that because of the Nintendo Channel stats when they used to do them. And on my 3DS, Animal Crossing New Leaf is my most played game at 163 hours. So with Animal Crossing New Horizons, it's probably gonna like be multiplied, if I play this game all year. So I will definitely be on this all year throughout summer 2020, autumn 2020, winter 2020, etc. As if there isn't enough games to play. Also, the game to close out the Nintendo Direct was Xenoblade Chronicles, the Definitive Edition. I'm pleased to hear that Xenoblade Chronicles is getting a remake, because I think it is more than deserving with how big the series has gotten ever since the original game came out way back in 2011. I say 2011 because it was released in the UK and then it came out in America in 2012. Yes, we went from having an Operation Rainfall campaign to get Xenoblade Chronicles released, and now it's getting a full remake after being re-released on the new 3DS, having Shulk in Super Smash Bros. It's so awesome to see this series become bigger than it is right now. And we've even gotten 2 follow-up games in the form of Xenoblade X and Xenoblade 2. So to have Xenoblade run in the Xenoblade 2 engine, I think makes a lot of sense. And I personally like the art style of Xenoblade 2. So to see the Xenoblade Run characters from like Shulk, Fiora, and like Ryan into being more like, for lack of a better word, animified, like in Xenoblade 2. And I'm excited for this definitive edition. And it's like Tokyo Mirage Sessions, it's another excuse for me to play the original all over again. And I can't wait to see how it compares, especially when I've heard that some cut content from the original game is being included. Yeah, I'm all for it, and it'll give those who got into Xenoblade 2 a chance to play the original game. And then last but not least, we are going into Super Smash Bros. Material. I saved this for last because I can talk about all of them in one go rather than just go on about Banjo earlier on and then go on about the latest stuff in last. So yeah, I'm just going to go on about what my thoughts on the Smash Bros. Material. Banjo-Kazooie got a release date, and it was actually literally hours after the Direct they came out. And oh man, that was a nice surprise because I thought it was going to come out later in the month, but no, it was out shortly after the Direct, and I just went straight to my Switch, downloaded the update, and I played it non-stop for the next hour, essentially getting all the spirits from Banjo, finishing classic mode as Banjo, on 9.9 I might add, and I was just like playing some online matches, and I was just like listening to all of the great remixes that was included with the game. 7 remixes and 3 original tracks from the original games. It was a good selection. But yeah, when Banjo-Kazooie got revealed, I absolutely lost it, because Banjo-Kazooie is like my favourite 3D platformer of all time, and to see this duo finally make it in after years of thinking it was impossible, I would have so recorded my reaction at the time, but I didn't because, again, I was all the way in Tokyo when this happened, so at 2 in the morning, I absolutely lost it, and I could not sleep for the night. It was an insane reveal. It was my most wanted character realised, and I don't know if I'm going to get a character I want as big of a scale as this one, because Banjo-Kazooie is like, it was like my childhood video game, and I still love playing it to this day. So seeing Banjo and Kazooie immediately get released, as for their moveset, they play so well. Like, it feels like you're playing as Banjo. It doesn't feel like a fighter that just happens to be Banjo. You feel like you're playing as Banjo because of how the recovery, the up B recovery, you jump higher depending on how long you press the B button for. Just like in the original game where if you use the spring pad, you get higher the longer you press it. It's one of those things where I applaud Sakurai because it's not like, oh, we're adding it in because of fan request, fine, here's your Banjo-Kazooie, now you can show up. No, it should, like, with the attention to detail they've done for Spiral Mountain, the stage, like, to the point where you have Tooty running on the pathway, the dragonfly enemies around, Mumbo and the Gingers in the background, and even the godforsaken honeycombs that you pick up in the level are still there. Yes, that one on the tree is still there. It's like they love the original Banjo games, so they just went back and recreated it to the best they could, and I cannot be more thankful of Sakurai for doing so. It's like my dream come true in Smash Bros. And I am absolutely going to main Banjo, like, from this point on. He is definitely going to become one of my most played characters. When I'm playing with friends or even tournaments, I'm going to, like, try and get good as him, because I mean, I play Banjo a lot, like, the original game. Like, at least maybe once a year, I love speedrunning the game, so, again, it feels like I'm playing as Banjo. Ripped straight out of Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah, and as for the music tracks, they have a good selection. Like, Treasure Trove Cove and Mad Monster Mansion remixes, oh, they are so good. And then you have Freeze Easy Peak and Mr. Patch, that is unedited, but I don't mind, because they were great tracks to begin with. Yeah, Banjo, my most wanted character ever in a Smash game, he made it absolutely chuffed. And after Banjo, we got our 4th DLC fighter, and he was Terry Bogard. This wasn't a massive surprise, like, because of the fact that it was kind of leaked a few days beforehand with the SNK copyright on the Nintendo webpage on the DLC Fighter Pack 4. But it is still cool to see, especially when you have someone representing the SNK and the Neo Geo era of video games. So you have like that representative in Smash Bros, and that's Terry Bogard. Now, he's from Fatal Fury and the King of Fighters. I have little to no history with Fatal Fury or the King of Fighters series. And nor do I have with like a lot of SNK games for that matter, so I don't really have a lot to say about Terry Bogard, other than he could be a fun character, and for those who wanted him in, congratulations, you got a character, and I'm not too fussed because Banjo-Kazooie was my most wanted character ever, so anything after Banjo, even if anything after Banjo I have no history with, I'd be cool with seeing them in Smash Bros. Yes, that includes Steve from Minecraft, because even though I previously stated I don't think he deserves to be in Smash Bros, well, now that Banjo's come out and we've got a bunch of other characters as it is, if Steve makes it in, it's not the worst. I don't think it's the worst thing, because it'll just show how much of a big deal Minecraft is, and we'll get some Minecraft representation in Smash, so, well, there you go. And, oh my god, we are getting more DLC fighters. Yeah, after the 5th one, we are going to get, like, another, I don't know, a few or another 5. I'm like, oh my god, Jesus Christ, Sakurai, you need a vacation once you're done with Smash Ultimate. It's absolutely insane. Smash Bros. Is like the ultimate gaming crossover in history. I can't think of a single crossover this big, ever. Like, just in gaming in general. Even, like, just anything in general. Right. And lastly, we got some Mii Fighter costumes, which were Goemon from Mythical Ninja, T-Rocket from Pokemon, Protoman from Mega Man, as well as another X outfit, which I think was Zero. And of course, the pure highlight of seeing all these costumes, we are getting Sans from Undertale as a costume. Yes, as if getting Banjo and Persona 5 wasn't enough, we are getting Undertale in Smash in some form. I just cannot believe this. I am absolutely stunned, because it just shows how big Undertale is right now, to the point where the fans are wanting, and Sakurai is giving Undertale the blessing to be in Smash in some capacity. And the fact that Toby Fox got to meet Sakurai, have his approval, and even make a remix of Mega Valonia. Oh my god, I can't even believe that's in Smash either. I am, like... I am absolutely stunned to see, like if you just saw me that Sans and Banjo was in Smash Bros. This time last year, I would have been like, you are lying. It's just that crazy. So yeah, that was my overall thoughts on the Nintendo Direct on the 4th of September 2019. This is the first time I've done one of these things, so I apologise that I was very long-winded in this whole thoughts video, and I've no idea how this will fare out, so do excuse me if I sound weird during some parts of the video, but there we go. That's my overall thoughts, and looking forward to dozens of these games. Just hope I get the time to play them.